Hello world, WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of EEPower. So last time we were getting our nuclear reactor set up, and unfortunately I did do an oops. So if you see here, it was supposed to be depleted isotope cells, not the near depleted uranium cells. So I rectified that, and we are now breeding, well, profusely. So let's put down our industrial centrifuge right here, and we're going to be putting in our platinum shiny dust. And if we don't mind the motorcycle that seems to be very loud outside, we can go out, and I think it made it into shiny dust when we went and got all of our platinum. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Why are you raining outside? I do not like it when you rain. Okay, so we're going to go get some uranium because uranium is going to be a little useful in our endeavors. So let's go and throw all of this up into here. And then it'll start centrifuging. It'll take a bit of time. Let's just check the recipes. I don't think I'll be able to find it quickly enough in there, so let's just check the recipe for iridium nuggets. Obviously, you can get it through that, or shiny dust through 150 seconds. That means it's going to be 1500 seconds by the time that it's over, so in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is finishing up our breeder setup, so that we'll be able to get everything else going at a nice, quaint pace. Quaint, quaint, quaint. Let's go quaint. So, what we're going to need to do is, well, probably deplete or put our depleted isotope cells into here. And I think, if we look over here, I should have, yes, I made 4 ME export buses. And we also have a recipe for an import bus, though I don't think the recipe is definitely desirable. Let's check our crafting monitor, and it does seem like it managed to create it. So let's get our import bus. Okay, so import and export kind of are a bit of misnomers. Export and import refer to the ME network itself and not what it's going into. So that we are going to have to keep in mind. So let's break this and put our buses. This is going to be a bit of a difficulty. Let's get that back. Hello, I kind of want you. And we're going to import into these routers. And you see they are connecting quite reasonably with each other. We'll get that glass and then bring the cable all the way over here. And then connect it like so. Now obviously it's not set to anything, so we are going to need to set what these are going to import. That's where we're going to go and get our depleted isotope cell. It might be a little useful, so let's jump in and hopefully not get ourselves punished. Now I think it does, I don't think it actually discerns what it needs, but anyway, so you can see that it did take some isotope cell from it. So if we look, there's nothing here, and now there is. Haha! And finally, last one will be like that. And obviously, these ones are going to need to get calibrated. So slot 9 is this one, 10, 11 is the next one. Oops. 11, good. And where'd the other one go? Guess it got stolen somewhere. Because it's not there. And it's not there. Maybe it was stolen? I don't know. Maybe it was exported. I don't know either. And these are almost done, so they're going to pop out very soon. And now this one needs to get it to slot as well. You're in fire. Is this working well? Because I don't think it being on fire is a good thing. There you are. Let's take you out. I didn't need you anyway, so that is not good. Maybe it's backed up on energy. So what I'm going to do is temporarily remove that, see if it slows down. Now what would be good is checking a heat monitor. I do have this backed up just in case something is ridiculously horrible. But it might be good to send this energy to some sort of, I don't know, heat sink or something. But I did check from I did check it online and it did say that it would work perfectly. So worst comes to worst, I'm gonna have to go from a backup. Anyways, let's put this back in and it's 0, 9, 18, 19. So we had to go to slot 19 all the way up. Yep. Okay, so right click does speed it up. And once again, import, 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 import. Okay, good. You don't have anything, however, so we're going to need to re-add you to the network. Let's make sure we're as far away as possible from that, just in case. Then again, seeing as it's a nuclear explosion, it'll probably throw us to Kingdom Come. Maybe charging the electric jetpack would be a good idea. Okay, throwing this all in, and this is not wanting. Are we almost out of energy here? That is a quaint question. Can you take... Ooh, actually, we are almost out of energy, because that fuel is not getting satiated, and it would be a good idea to actually bring the energy that we have from up there and bring it down so that these no longer have to be the main breadwinners of the energy system. Because these are pretty much maxed out in what they can give. 27 units per tick. Okay, now we can put that back in, and we'll make some more cables in a moment. Once we check, yes, we're going to need to make another chest and then get the export bus. The import to the system bus. This import to the system will then take anything that we decide is worthy and throw it into the system. Now, it will require a bit of energy, and here we go. We got a few of those. And now it is continuing onwards. That's good, that's good. And the only problem is it sees it as an inventory, so we're going to need to get a tube for that instead. So let's break this. Thank you. And we'll have to have a tube for it to export out to, and then go into the chest. And then that... Nope, that is not what I was thinking it was. Let me just get a tube and then I'll be back, barring any unfortunate explosions, because those are frankly unfortunate. Now, I know you can probably export directly via some other obscure method to the system. However, I do not really want to focus on anything exorbitant trying to get it to work, so I'm just going to do that. So this should be able to take everything from here and export it to the network. And if we right click it, it's always active, or we could do it to move single items or stacks of items. It doesn't really matter. Let's see, how are we over here? We are out of depleted uranium, obviously, and that is where the other 8 stuff comes in as soon as we get our centrifuge working. The centrifuge is a sticking point since we do need to wait for it to go. We can, in the meantime, though, probably bring the wire that's right here, since, that worked out well. Since it is centered, we can just bring it down like that, and it'll be a lot less headache than trying to find a nice fancy pants way of doing it. And where were you? I think cabling was here? Here! There we go. So we can bring the cable down like over there, and over here we'll be able to get the canning machine as well. That's probably going to be useful. And let's look into our system. We're going to add some more ME blank things. And let's see, how many can we create? Let's create 10. Should be a simple enough thing for you to do, and it is. So now we're going to want to add a few recipes to the mix. We have a bunch of refined uranium, at least I think it is in the system, though it may not be. It is not, so we're going to want to pressurize that. But anyways, what do we have? We got also tin ingots, so what we can add is some tin. So tin cells as one of the recipes. I think this is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Encode that. So now we have tin cells as a recipe. But instead of just tin cells, we're going to also want a few other things, such as getting our unrefined uranium stuff. Yeah, let's go with that. Our nice little depleted isotope cells. Those will require 2 things. Let's first make a stack of those, just because. With the power of magic, we are persevering and making things a lot more difficult than they really need to be, honestly. Okay, now that we have that, we can then get some of our nice little compressed refined uranium things. I hate when you're like that. It just gets things a little annoying. Let's just wait for this. And with that, we have some nice compressed uranium, so when we finally get these, this really makes me wish for the vanilla mechanics. Let's get that out, right click, we can encode another one of these, just the near depleted stuff, because frankly the unnear depleted is a little meh. Okay, put that there, we can then throw the uranium into here. And also another thing, all but that will get the coal dust, since it will also be a necessary evil to create. Also throw that in so that we can then make, where is it? Let's make, did I make re-enriched? No, I didn't need the re-enriched. Was there only 6 re-enriched? Huh. Anyways, near depleted was I looking for? Yes, near depleted uranium cells. We can then add another recipe for that with coal dust to get our depleted isotope cell. Now, the advantage of doing all of this is so that if you look up here, let's actually go up there relatively quickly and check on the breeding process that we have at hand. We have 2 depleted isotope cells there, and we have nothing into here stymieing the breeding process. Now that is a little unfortunate, especially since our reactor heat vent doesn't seem exactly the most happy with us, but honestly it doesn't matter at this point. We can then put this recipe thing in. Where is it? There we are. We can also throw those in, but that's a moot point at this point. Throw this in, and it should craft everything so that we can get those 4 things into these points. Assuming that's actually how it works. It needs depleted isotope cells, correct? Yes. So let's put depleted isotope cell in here, depleted isotope cell in here, and assuming it's actually working, that is confusing. Let me see if I am actually getting everything right. It might just be a matter of not enough energy. See? NEE. We are knee-ing things, and that doesn't even make any sense. Now, what it's possible is that the stuff that's crafted here is not the same thing as it actually expects. So let's go into our craft. Craft, I said. And we're going to craft one of these. Right? Right. And we should be able to see it right here. Nope, that's not it. It's not the sort by. This thing is sometimes confusing. Okay, where art thou? You are here. And it still says we need to craft it. So what that means is either it didn't create it, or we're missing a few items. Let's see for a second. Okay, I see. It doesn't actually... Let's see it this way. It's importing, however, it's always active. We want it to be always active. Now the problem is, it's not continually exporting into here. What it's doing is not doing that, which is kind of unfortunate, and you could have probably figured that out without me saying it, but, you know, I like connecting the dots wherever I can. It's kind of like, you know, those little connect-the-dot puzzles when you're a kid. They're kind of like that, except less awesome. Anyways, as I was trying to say, the depleted isotope cell, this does not automatically craft for whatever it needs to export. That's a bit of a problem, seeing as a system kind of relies on that. What we could do, however, is just create a lot of them, like a whole chunk of change, and have it just automatically created by the, well, handy-dandy nuclear process, though that isn't as, well, it's not really as fun as it would be. So let's just make 64 of those, just for the heck of it, see what's needed to create afterwards. We're just making the depleted isotope cells, and then a bunch of them will be sent back into the system. Then, if we see, we have all of them full, and then this can get to work breeding them as fast as, well, maybe rabbits. Rabbits. Let's go with rabbits because rabbits are nice and fluffy and very good for this particular development. Anyways, I'm trying to be smart here, though it's not exactly working very well. So let's make some more glass fibers so we can connect everything else, and then make sure that this doesn't run, maybe, well, run out of power, and then maybe we can continue onwards with something a little more, I don't know, worthwhile. Now that we finally have some, well, stabilized power, I don't think there's going to be any loss at this network. Is that squirrel really trying to steal my stuff? I have no clue. Anyways, now that we have that going, I made another centrifuge because, frankly, they are going to give us a lot of fun, seeing as, well, this one's occupied and it's going to take a lot of time, and we're going to need to go on to something a little more invigorating. Now that I think of it, since we have this power line already here, we might as well use it instead, and it'll be a lot more, well, extravagant. So, centrifuge here. We have a centrifuge, we have an interface eventually, and we are going to need another recipe in here. That we're going to put into here, and then export from here, hopefully working without too much in between. And here we go. Now what we need in here are 8. 8, 8, 8. If we get them, we'll be able to show you. We got 12. Yay! Not what I wanted, but we'll want 8 re-enriched uranium cells. So throw them into here to, come on. I want 8. Okay, we got 4 in there. Ah, yes, this is set so that it will only... Ah, I see. So these are pretty much, I want as many as you can stuff in here. That is what I want. But it won't create any more because it's not something that says, okay, I want a set amount. That is not how it goes. Now that export thing might be a set amount thing. I'm not too sure. It might be. We have an export config, but I thought for this what it was is that it actually takes the items out. Anyways, I think ME interface. Let's check the interface recipe again. And yeah, let's make another interface just in case it has what we want, because if we were to do it to have all of them as, well, as much as possible, it'd just kind of be stale after a while. Anyways, ME interface. Let's take this import thing off and see if this actually works a bit better, at least closer to how we imagined. So what we want is we want 8 in here. Let's take this amount out and put a few in here. And it's wanting to create re-enriched uranium cells, which is this stuff. However, when we put them in, it's taken out, and this is not satisfied. However, it's satisfied in here, but it's not getting pulled out. So this is the thing that actually gets the... Okay, I see. It's one step at a time, but I am seeing what we need. However, this does not automatically export into the given slot that you want it to, but it does craft the items saying, I want 8 re-enriched uranium cells. I don't care how you do it, but give it to me, but it won't export it into here. That is the only problem that we have. However, no, that's too fantastic. However, that could work. Let's take that out. It'll send it back, and let's put that back in. I'll let that idea I'm having right now stew in my brain a bit. However, we will just set this so that it wants as many as possible, and we'll keep it as such. So let's get the cells that we have, not those. Here we go. Now we have 16. This makes things a little more interesting. Let's put that there, and we'll put it in and start centrifuging. This is where things get fun, because now we're going to be centrifuging all of this, and it should then take it out eventually. So we're centrifuging re-enriched uranium cells, and we're going to get plutonium, thorium, and more near-depleted uranium cells. These will then get further recycled into more awesome. However, it's not a fully automatic process, what we can do is make it fully automatic by using some of these um, interfaces, the ME interfaces, by having it, well, auto craft the stuff via some sort of method. Well, what we could do is have it there, then pull out, though that is not as, well, automatic of a process as I would like. Maybe we do need cross-mod interaction though, so that might be the only thing we need to do. So let's wait for this to centrifuge, then we can maybe add a few more recipes. Now we'll have a stable source of thorium for us to reintroduce into our reactor. Let's see if it's ready to blow. Knowing my luck, it might blow up when I look at it. This reactor heat exchanger. Oh. That's not good, not good, not good. Let's break that. It's on fire. That is always a good sign. So, I'm wondering. Actually, it seems to be still heating up, but I'm not getting as hurt. So this thing was hurting me. It was giving me some mild excitation, but this is going back down to its norm. And I'm going to have to research this reactor design again. I may have misdone something because it doesn't seem entirely stable. It might be stable when it gets to a certain amount, however, so the only way to figure that out would be to let it go for a long period of time. Hey, we're going to need to wait a while anyways, so barring any unfortunate circumstances, what I think I'm going to do is let it run for quite a while, maybe then just have it have something a little more fun happen. So when it's full, I want a redstone signal. I'm going to back up since this is not something I'm planning. I'm going to look it up while it's running and then see what we get. So, interesting discovery if we go over here other than the... What is with this place and squirrels? We're not that squirrely. Okay, so let's open up NEI, or rather make sure NEI is open, and mind the hurt. If we look at the reactor heat exchanger, it's not actually increasing in temperature. It seems like it's stabilized around 8,000. That being said, I'm going to continue watching it to make sure that it's actually stabilized, because it's at 8072, and it doesn't seem like it's climbing any higher past that. It's fluctuating between the 2 points that we managed to see before. Now, I hope that squirrel doesn't actually get too close, seeing as, well, it's going to be, well, one hell of a ride. So, we have 15 iridium nuggets, not going to be enough for our goals currently. I believe we have, how much do we have currently? And how much iridium do we need at any rate? What's the next thing that we're going to make? We want to make a matter fabricator, hopefully, and the main thing that it's going to need is the iridium plate for it, and we have a bunch of Laptron crystals, but that's not going to be as problematic as all the other things. It'll require a bit of, well, the Laptron crystals will take a few things. I'm thinking what we could do is have this almost like an automation floor with our nice industrial centrifuge. It seems like it's almost finished its first cycle. Now you can see how long it actually takes, so our breeder may not actually be running full-time. If it were to run full-time, we'd need a lot more industrial centrifuges. And how long does one industrial centrifuge take for this anyways? 1,000 seconds. That's quite a long time, considering it nets us one plutonium cell. 1,000 seconds. We've been waiting for 1,000 seconds, huh? Okay, so now we're going to want to go and get some more reactor, well, challenges. And I think we might actually have a bit of plutonium right now. Do we have any plutonium right now at this very moment? We have some more near-depleted uranium cells, so we do have our plutonium and our thorium. We actually just got a batch because we have 7 near-depleted uranium cells. There we go. Okay, that is a lot better. And we know that the exportation does work. So we're going to want to set up another nuclear reactor with a lot of stuff, though that will take a lot more of, well, it's going to take a lot. Let's go and either set that up right now or finish a bit more automation. Another form of automation that would be a good thing to set up is to get an industrial blast furnace going at optimal conditions. So what I mean is what I want to have is an industrial blast furnace which will be able to easily was that what was what was that sound? Was that a squirrel? There's no way that was a squirrel. It's like flip 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 slap slap. No, no, it wasn't anything in the background. Get your dirty mind out the gutter. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is what I want is to have this industrial blast furnace fully automated. So let's get our reinforced machine casings down, and we should have enough energy at this, well, early stage in the game to get everything. And it seems like it's almost at the top. Now, what I'm thinking is that this top, well, I'm only putting this down here for now because I'm not finished that floor, and what I want is probably have that segment deal with all of the industrial blast furnace and the electrolytic separators and all that stuff. No, not that stuff, but you get what I mean. So what we're going to want is having a few more custom recipes. That's where our ME interface comes in. However, there are a few other things which we will want. So that's where these come in. Yes, that's right, we're going to go tube happy. So let's go and put this in a knowledgeable location. Can we not have that so annoying, please? Thank you very much. I love this. Okay, so ME interface here. I'm hoping it doesn't actually steal anything from this, but there's only one real way to find out, and we're going to want to have sunlight, which currently sunlight is actually cascading throughout the heavens. So let's put that there, have it automatically pull out. And what I'm assuming, okay, good, not actually throwing myself down into the void, because that would be a bad thing, is that once this gets charged up to a reasonable level, we'll have stuff go into here quite, well, easily. We're just going to need to hook up to the ME network, which this is getting very lackluster. Yeah, lackluster is kind of a good operand word. Let's connect this like so, and this is now going to export to here. Now we're going to have a few recipes that we're going to want, and also we're going to want to have it go here as well with an export bus. Does the export bus actually come here? Let's see. Do we have enough for the export bus? I think it's a sticky piston requirement for that, so we won't have it. I mean input bus. Dang it! These are getting confusing. These are getting confusing. Now, let's get our colored paint tube stuff, then we can continue with our educational chat. Yeah, let's go with that. Now, steel is probably one of the most useful ingredients we're going to use. That is pretty much, well, not an understatement. Let's get one of those so we'll be able to continue onwards. So, one of the things we'll need is a lot of steel. So how are we going to do that? Well, simple enough, by having this create steel when given all of the necessary components. And it would seem that I am one block off in my placement. So either we're going to do that, or yeah, let's go like that. Let's be as extra fancy as possible. Fancy schmancy, and actually having it correctly there. Assuming that actually allows light. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it does. So we're going to want to have this send out coal dust as well as refined iron to the correct slots. Now that is a bit of a problem with all of these fun ME interfaces, since, well, it doesn't really share them between each other. So what we're going to have is our primary slot, which is the top one, will be the red slot, and our secondary is going to be pink, since it, well, I'm not going to say it's inferior to red because that's a little sexist. So let's go onwards. And then I have many people saying, hey, you're being sexist by saying it's sexist, you sexist pig. And I'm saying sexist so many times that I'm probably going to slip up and say something naughty. So I'll probably pass on doing that. So we're going to want, when we send refined iron and coal dust here, we're going to want to send them to the correct locations, and hopefully it doesn't get out of turn. But I think steel is actually the only one that requires separate slot items, at least the ones that we're going to be using. Now, handily, we have this. Oh, that's interesting. Calcium carbonate with iron, we can get refined iron. So, secondary slots, the only thing that we also need is here the tungsten and steel. And other ones are relatively simple, so I'm thinking that it's probably best to have a separate blast furnace entirely for hot tungsten steel. Hot tungsten steel. I can feel it now. No, no, no. So let's make up that pattern, shall we? We're going to need 2 coal dust and a refined iron. And this is going to make 1 steel ingot in code. And this one, as you know before, since it is completely separate, we're going to want to put it into here as a processing one, and we should see steel as a processable item. Now, unfortunately, we are going to have to wait for that to charge up. However, there are a few shortcuts that we are able to employ, such as being a sneaky bugger that we are. That only requires that 1 solar panel anyways, so it's not like I'm stealing from children or anything that god awful. So let's put this here. Hopefully we don't get anything entirely abhorrently nasty, and set this to an actual mode that we can use continuously. This one, yes, it'll be indiscriminate, and send it. So let's get 3 hot steel coming right up. And that would be near the top, I would imagine. Okay, so let's go for 3 steel ingots. Assuming we actually have the coal dust ready, that should be it. And it should have sent it to here. Or not. Let's see. Is it in the crafting terminal? Yes, it is. Steel ingots. It is in. And we sent the request for the steel ingots. It should have sent the stuff here. Coal dust and refined iron. Should have exported it into the blast furnace. However, that has not appeared to happen. Might have automatically got... Oh no, you gotta be kidding me. Might have automatically got sucked up using the ME import bus. So let's actually remove the... Did you craft it? No, you didn't. Okay, let's set that again. Begin. It should be there. Good. So assuming nothing happened. Am I reading too much into this? It should send it here and then go out. Maybe it needs a chest in between. That might be the actual case that it needs. So let's go and put a chest in between just in case, barring some unfortunate circumstances like that, which would be, well, typical of me, honestly. So, chest. We must have a chest in here. Chesty chest. Here we go. Let's get a chest. And then, okay, that's already canceled somehow. I don't know why, don't know how, don't really care. And put this back in here. Begin! Okay, there we go. So it actually, when you craft stuff, it doesn't put it into the buffer, it actually sends it to the chest that is connected. So now we have the system working correctly this time, and it's crafting it. Now it does, well, actually take energy, so that might be something that would be a little useful to our cause. So let's see, do we want it at the side? Yeah, sure, let's go like that. And it says insufficient energy line, which I don't really... might be because of that. Dagnabbit. Oh well, we'll add more stuff later. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. Think I said that too fast? Probably not. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day.